And we're live. Good afternoon from Portman Road. We're back here at last. Nearly a month since that 1-1 draw against Preston. Ipswich have been on the road 5 times since then, if you include the once again abandoned trip to Portsmouth. We've had the 2-1 win at Derby, the back-to-back defeats at Wrexham, 1 in the Cup, 1 in the league via a 5-3 scoreline, and then a superb response at Watford in midweek. 2-0 winners. Can Ipswich now get some momentum going in this final third of the season that we're into now? 4th in the table going into this weekend. A couple of games in hand to come on most of the teams around them. And this feels like a big week, doesn't it? 3 games here in the space of 8 days. The first against Swansea City this afternoon. Hull, top 2 contenders, fellow top 2 contenders on Tuesday night. And then Leicester City, who find themselves in a relegation dogfight after a points deduction next Saturday. How are you all? Thanks for joining me. I can see a few of you starting to drift into the chat. Any thoughts before we get into the team news chat? I'll bring up the Ipswich Town 11. Kieran McKenna has got a near fully fit squad to pick from at the moment. It's Jaden Philogene is the main man, the main absentee at the moment, the 10-goal winger. Just can't get that MCL knee injury quite right at the moment. He suffered that in the Blackburn or the Bristol City game. It was one of those two. I think it was the Blackburn game. Nunez was the Bristol one. He was close to coming back a few times, but a bit like Connor Chaplin last season, just that last bit of the recovery, the rehab, can't get over the line. He's still out, but my word, has Kieran McKenna got some options at his disposal at the moment, and the lineup and the bench today shows that. I'll bring up the Ipswich Town 11 here, 4-2-3-1 as always, and it's 3 changes from that win at Watford in midweek. Leif Davis, back from the heavy knock he picked up against Wrexham, comes straight back in for Jacob Greaves at left back. Bit of a debate there around whether Jacob Greaves deserved to keep his place after a really impressive performance against Watford. Capped with the assist for George Hurst's second goal in the second half. Really good defensively as well. He's had 3 games at left back now in the league as Jacob Greaves. 2 of them really good. Coventry was another good one when they went and won at the then league leaders and now league leaders at the end of December. Sheffield United away, not so good in that one, but I think he's proven that he's ready to step in at left back when called upon. But Leif Davis, available again today, straight back into the team. Jacob Greaves can feel hard done by, but I do think Leif Davis at home in a game that hopefully is going to be a bit of space to exploit for Ipswich against the Swansea side, who like to play a bit, and we'll come on to that. I think Leif Davis is probably the best option for me, but I know not everyone will agree with that. Wes Burns back in on the right wing. He was rested for the midweek trip to Hertfordshire. Sindre Violet-Gelly came back into the team. Hasn't had a great deal of starts recently as Sindre scored, opened the scoring there with a well-taken volley after Nunez's free kick hit the wall and dropped in the box. Again, can he feel hard done by after scoring and then dropping to the bench? Not so much for me. I think Wes Burns has proven since his return from an ACL injury, a long-term one, that he is the best of the right-wing options for Ipswich at the moment, just through his directness, his pace, his off-the-ball work. Just suited to this system, isn't he? So he comes back in on the right. I think that's a huge surprise there. This one is a surprise. Jack Clark, Ipswich's 12-goal top goal scorer, drops to the bench. He's had a real run at it since Jaden Philogene picked up that injury, but it's the manager has deemed that he's due a rest today. He drops to the bench, and Anis Mehmeti comes in on the left-hand side, someone who we've seen in the number 10 role since he signed from Bristol City in January, but it's inside left where some of his best work has come at former clubs, including the Robins, and that is where he gets his start today. So I'll be interested to see how Anis looks on the left. He's certainly hit the ground running, hasn't he, since arriving midway through the season. So, yeah, no Jaden Philogene, no Jack Clark, and Ipswich can still field a player of Anis Mehmeti's quality. on the left-hand side today. What a show of strength that is for this squad. Run you through the subs. Alex Palmer, the goalkeeper. Let's try and do these in order of positions rather than order of numbers as listed on the team sheet. We have got Jacob Greaves as the sole defensive option, Kayusta and Jack Taylor, the two midfielders, and then as attacking options we've got Sindre Valageli, Chuba Akpom, Jack Clark, Casey McAteer and George Hurst, who got that goal as mentioned in midweek. How are you all? Are you looking forward to this one? What are your expectations? What do you think about the team? Chris Thurrigan here. Interesting to see how Nunez and Mehmeti dovetail. Yeah, absolutely. Both clever players, I think, as is Dan Neal behind them, who I'm a little bit surprised that Dan Neal starts this one because very limited game time at Sunderland in the first half of the season. And the way Kieran McKenna, I asked Kieran McKenna about his level of match fitness at the press conference yesterday, and the way he spoke, Kieran McKenna, made it sound like he was almost certainly not going to start this one. That, you know, we're still building him up a little bit. He started a couple of games, the cup game, and then obviously his full league debut in midweek. But it sounded like he might be rested, maybe with half an eye on Hull on Tuesday night coming up, and he goes again today. I've said it, I think, you know, from the very, very first glimpses of Dan Neal was in Derby that he came off the bench. That was, you know, I could see what a difference he could make to this side. He reminds me a bit of Massimo Luongo in terms of being a very intelligent player, good football IQ, reads danger, very calm on the ball. When it was all a bit chaotic, here he comes, the man AJ in the background. Yeah, when it was all getting a bit chaotic at Watford on Tuesday night, Dan Neal was the man who put his foot on the ball and calmed it all down a little bit for Ipswich. So I've always had a feeling that once he got in, he'd stay in. This is the man who captained Sunderland to Championship promotion to playoff glory last season. That him and Matasiwa would become the partnership. I didn't know if there would be a little bit of a bedding in period for the next few weeks, but he goes again today, and I'm pleased because in answer to Chris's question, how the Nunez, Mehmeti, Neal, they're all going to be operating in that sort of left-hand side. Neal's the kind of box-to-box, left-sided central midfielder, playing a little bit deeper, but with license to get forward, certainly more than Matasiwa. Mehmeti will play tucked in off the left, which might suit Leif Davis a little bit more, give him that freedom to bomb on. Jack Clark and Philogene like to stay wide to start with before cutting inside. I think Mehmeti his starting position will be more in the pocket a little bit more, which might help with Leif Davis. And then Nunez is such a clever player as well, isn't he? Technically gifted, eye for a pass. I thought he really pulled the strings of Watford on Tuesday. So that little combination of those 3 or 4 players that I've just mentioned down the left-hand side excites me today. I want to see if there's a natural connection between some of them. I think there's real potential for that to happen. Mark there, Mehmeti on the left. Yeah, I think left, but in more of the sort of Nathan Broadhead inside left forward than kind of hang on your boots left winger that Jack Clark and Jaden Philogene like to play in before getting the ball and then cutting inside. I think Mehmeti will play almost as a dual 10 alongside Nunez today, which, as I say, I think the knock-on effect would really suit Leif Davis. Jamie White here, howdy all. Jay Clark on the bench, super sub, aren't they all? Yeah. Jack Clark, I think, has more goals off the bench than anyone else in the Championship this season. He wasn't, you know, I wouldn't say he was too keen on the super sub tag. No player is. They want to be starting games. The Philogene injury has opened up the door for him to do that. I thought he was really good on Tuesday. I thought he was quieter at Wrexham the previous weekend. Maybe it's just due a little dip out. Maybe it's with a half an eye on Hull and Leicester coming up this week. Maybe it's just Mehmeti has deserved his chance, done nothing wrong to lose his place at all. As we say, what depth Kieran McKenna has. Yeah, real debate here as how am I pronouncing this? Dividend Dude 1. Not sure Greaves deserves to lose his place. No, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve to lose his place based on the performance on Tuesday night. He was one of, if not Ipswich's best performers at left back. First half, on the rare occasions Watford threatened, he was the man to snuff out the danger. I remember him keeping pace with, was it Iran Kunda, I think, and shielding the ball out with really great strength. Cut out a couple of dangerous crosses at the near post, and he got forward well as well, and obviously provided the assist for Hurst in the second half. Did something very similar at Coventry earlier in the season, but he is a centre half, and I think his qualities at left back are. It's going to be needs must. It's going to be horses for courses. The 3 starts he's had at left back have all been away from home. Coventry, Sheffield United and Watford. I think on the days where you're going to have to dig in a little bit more, where you might need a bit of extra aerial strength, Jacob Greaves at left back is certainly a conversation to be had. This is a game at home against the Swansea side who like to press, who like to play with intensity, that like to play with a bit of possession. Let's not forget what Leif Davis has done for this club and continues to do for this club, and the creative qualities that he can give them going forwards, both from open play and set pieces. So for me, it's the right call. It's a really hard call, and I can see why people might say that about Jacob Greaves today. But Leif Davis on the left, no arguments from me today in coming back into the team. Jamie here, we've got felt bad for Cam last game, actually went to that one, hope he doesn't score any own goals yet. A reference there to Cameron Burgess, former Ipswich Town player, former Ipswich Town hero, big player in that back-to-back promotion winning side, wasn't he, Cameron Burgess, and had some big moments in the Premier League as well, didn't he? Outstanding form of away springs to mind, others as well. Real disappointment, I think, from supporters when he chose to not sign a new contract and leave on a Bosman for Swansea last summer. I think that was more Swansea offering him a longer deal, a bit more security at the stage of his career he's at, and more guarantee of game time as well. Obviously, with Ipswich having Kimpray now, Greaves as well, of course. So, yeah, he was unfortunate with those 2 own goals. They were ones where he had to try and do something to cut the ball out, and ended up turning it into his own net. Twice, I don't think there was a huge amount of schadenfreude from the Ipswich fans. A little bit of sarcastic chanting on the day, but there's a whole lot of love for Cameron Burgess, rightly so, amongst this fan base, and I'm sure he'll get a really warm reception before the game, and then all that gets forgotten about during the 90 plus minutes of battle, doesn't it? But yeah, he's been an important player for Swansea so far this season, and he starts again today. I'll tell you who doesn't start for Swansea, and that is the division's leading goal scorer, 16 goals. Zan Lipotnik, the Slovenian striker, who has scored some beauties this season, normally hit with absolute violence. He's a real box in the box. He's not someone that gives you loads from open play in terms of pressing and link play, but when he gets half a chance, quarter of a chance in the box, he shifts it out of his feet and he absolutely bludgeons the ball. I don't know if you saw his free kick against Sheffield Wednesday a little while back. That was travelling. So it's a surprise to see him drop out the team today, and by reading some comments from Swansea fans, maybe looked a little bit leggy of late. This is the first game he hasn't started since January the 1st. He is one of 5 changes for Swansea following their 1-1 home draw against Preston on Tuesday night, a game that got a little bit more exposure because of a certain Snoop Dogg, rap royalty, one of many famous co-owners that have come on board at the South Wales club, along with the likes of Luka Modric, over recent months as part of their new American ownership. Real excitement surrounding them going into this season. I think many tip them to be sort of dark horses for promotion. It's not quite worked out that way, Alan Sheehan started in charge, and his last game was actually that match against Ipswich back in November, the 4-1 win that's already been alluded to, where Burgess scored 2 own goals. He got sacked off the back of that, and in came Vitor Matos, Portuguese manager, and he's made a real difference to them. They're 15th in the table as it stands, but it's a really congested table, certainly in the middle pack, and I wouldn't rule them out of a charge to the playoffs still at the moment. Kieran McKenna at his press conference yesterday said, don't take too much notice of the table. These are one of the most informed teams in the Championship. He's very, very impressed having watched them in the build-up to this one. He's pointed out that they lead the way in terms of many metrics over the last sort of 12 or so games. Possession, pressing, counter-pressing. I think he sees these as a team kind of in his own mould, really, the way he likes to get teams to play. And he's expecting what he's described as a top-tier game and a top-tier challenge today. Says no one should be taking these for granted. A little bit like the way he spoke about Stoke, if you remember, earlier in the season. And they certainly came here, went toe-to-toe with Ipswich and gave them a really good game. And Ipswich won 1-0 that day. And I think he's expecting a very similar test today against Swansea. I'll read you through their team in full. It's Lawrence Vigouroux in goal, back four of Ethan Galbraith at right back. He sort of tucks in a little bit. He's a midfielder by trade who's been playing at right back. Ivango and Burgess, the centre halves. Josh Tyman at left back, who's got a fair few assists from left back for him. So I think there might be a little bit of cat and mouse going on between him and Wes Burns today. Who's going to cheat and stay forward and leave gaps behind, we'll have to see. A complete change in midfield from midweek. Matos was not happy with his side's first half performance against Preston, and he made a triple change at half time. He's made 5 changes, as I mentioned, today, and 3 of them come in midfield. It'll be Stamanic as the holding midfielder. The 2 central midfielders will be Widow and Yalkuye. Who have we got? We've got Ronald on the right, we've got Eon on the left probably, Cullen up front, I think will be the striker, and Nunez on the left who comes in. So a few changes for Swansea. They've rotated a little bit as well. No Snoop Dogg today, by the way. He was out before the game on Tuesday night, waving all branded tea towels around his head. When Preston scored, the Preston fans were taking the piss out of that a little bit. Heckingbottom, the Preston manager, was asked about how it affected the game. He said, other than the smell of weed in the tunnel beforehand, not much really. We wondered whether Mr. Dog would be in Suffolk today. He's not. I think he's jetted back to LA earlier this week. So he is not here. What else can I tell you about Swansea? One of the worst away records in the Championship. They've lost 10 games away from home. Have a look at it. They've played 10 of the current top half sides in the Championship. Obviously Ipswich is one they haven't faced, Wrexham is the other, but they've played the other 10 away from home. And of those 10 games, they've lost 8 of them. They've lost to Derby, Hull, Millwall, Coventry, Bristol City, Preston, Birmingham and Middlesbrough away from home. So hopefully that proves to be a good omen for Ipswich going into this one. It's a big week for Ipswich. Hopefully they can start it on the right footing. Any more? Can I get some score predictions from you before we start to wrap this up? We've got Chris here. Phil Aslam and Hurst together would be good in attack. We've seen it very briefly, I think, in the latter stages of a game. I think it was the cup game, wasn't it? The Wrexham Cup game where McKenna just basically chucked on all his attackers. I don't know if we're ever going to find out the answer to that question, Chris, because I don't think you're going to see Kieran McKenna play 2 up front. I don't think you're going to see a 4-4-2. I think the only way you might see it at some stage is if Ipswich get promoted to the Premier League, and they might have to think about a wing-back system, a back 3, a back 5. Do you then start to see maybe at some stage a 3-5-2 or something like that, and a couple of strikers? But Yeah, he doesn't fancy two up front, and let's be honest, not many do in the modern game. But Azon and Hurst, I don't know, it's not a big man, little man partnership, is it? I think Azon would have to be the link man, the one who sort of drops a little bit deeper and tries to hold the ball up and battle people. And Hurst, contrary to being the bigger of the two, would be the kind of off the last shoulder runner, wouldn't he? Yeah, Chris, I'm not sure we're gonna see that too much, to be honest. Talking about the bench here, would have been nice to see Johnson on the bench, as Furlong might be having a forced break soon. Not sure he has meant to see his discipline. Yeah, it's a really good point, Maddie. Darnell Furlong gave away that pretty needless penalty late on at Watford on Tuesday night. Wilton to the rescue with the penalty save, but that saw Darnell Furlong pick up his 11th booking of the season, technically, because he got sent off for West Brom on the opening day with 2 bookings. They don't count towards the booking count because they resulted in a red. So he is on 9 bookings now, which puts him 1 away from a 2-match ban. Azor Matasiwa has now managed to go walk that tightrope for 12 matches, remarkably, which is longer than Sam Morsey managed to do in League One. There's still another 5 games left. Yeah, game 37 is when the slate gets wiped clean. Today is game 32, so there's still a bit of work to do for those two. Matasiwa has done brilliantly. Not to pick one up for a little while. You're right. I think Darnell Furlong is a slightly different beast. You're up against flying wingers, and there's always a chance you're going to pick up a booking. He also likes a bit of gamesmanship, doesn't he? He's on the wind up. So we'll see. And if he's out, then Ipswich's right-back options have become limited. Ashley Young still out with a hip injury. Ben Johnson next in line. Would Kieran McKenna trust him to start at right-back? I'd be really interested. He's not given him that many games at right-back since he arrived. In the Premier League, he played him as a winger or as a more advanced wing-back at times. He's played him at left-back a few times this season. We haven't seen him an awful lot at right-back, have we? I guess the alternative would be to move Dara O'Shea across the right back somewhere he's played, and then you can go with Kinbray and Greaves at centre half. I'm not sure I can see that, but that would be interesting. As and when it happens, hopefully it doesn't. But something to keep an eye on with bookings today. Michael Horningmore from Brisbane could give Jack a bit of a rest. Good morning, Michael. Hopefully it's a bit sunnier where you are, so it's fairly chilly. It's not too bad, but it's a little bit of nip in the air in Suffolk today. Yeah, maybe Jack Clark needs a rest. I'm sure he'll have a role to play off the bench today. There you go. Burgess doesn't play for us anymore. Are you saying you'd rather draw 0-0 than win 1-0 with a Burgess own goal? I don't know if that's been suggested in the comments, but absolutely I'm not saying that, Chris. You're right. No room for sentiment in this game. Give Cameron Burgess a bit of love before the game, bit of love after the game, but during it, he can score a hat-trick of own goals today as far as I'm concerned. Now up to third, points out Michael, with an impressive away win at Portsmouth that's added pressure on Ipswich to win this afternoon, with Town sitting fifth. I'm going to have a little look at the championship table actually. It's fourth going into today. Let's have a look. Scores for you so far today. Derby 3, Blackburn 1, Leicester City 0, Norwich City 2. Leicester are very much in the mud, aren't they, at the moment? It's going to be interesting to see how they set up next Saturday at Portman Road. Norwich's resurgence under Philippe Clement continues. Fair play to them. Portsmouth 0, Hull City 1. Yeah, so big win for them. That's a 73rd minute goal. For all the talk about Middlesbrough and Coventry and Ipswich trying to catch them, let's not discount Hull and Millwall. Right now, as we're talking, Ipswich are behind both of them in the table. 2 games in hand to come on them both. I'll outline the table. Coventry City top, 68 points. Middlesbrough second, 63 points. Hull third, 60. Millwall fourth, 59. And then Ipswich in fifth on 57. And then 3 points back, you've got Wrexham on 54. Ipswich have 2 games in hand on all of them at this moment in time. Hull on Tuesday night will catch up a game in hand on Hull but Hull, of course. Notable games this afternoon: Coventry City at home to Stoke, Millwall away to Preston. So a couple of results to keep an eye on there. Michael, looks like Swansea have come today to stop us playing and hit us on the break. I'm not sure about that. They're 4-1-4-1 by the looks of things, but the two wingers will get forward, and at times it will look more like a 4-3-3. I don't think you're going to see some of the games that we've seen here with a proper deep block and just trying to stop Ipswich playing. That said, somebody mentioned in the press box earlier that no team has conceded fewer goals than Swansea since the start of December, so they've been pretty tight at the back. But as I mentioned, Kieran McKenna pointed out, under the new manager, they like to keep the ball, dominate possession, they like to get in your face and press a little bit. I think they're going to come here and try and go toe-to-toe with Ipswich, and hopefully that plays into Ipswich's hands. They certainly prefer that type of game, don't they? I think it's going to be an intense game. I think it's going to be one that excites the fans. Famous last words, it'll probably be 0-0 after saying all of that. I've gone for a 3-1 Ipswich win. I think AJ's gone for a slightly narrower 2-1 to my right. But hopefully, I don't really care how it happens, Ipswich can get themselves 3 points, build on Tuesday night, and start this week right. It's a big one for Ipswich Town. You've just heard the ding-ding. We've got Faithless Insomnia playing. We've got the players coming out with the mascots at the moment. Dara O'Shea's got a young fan in a wheelchair there today. It's important to point out the players warmed up with the level playing field shirts on today, which is a sports disability charity which campaigns for access to sports events for those with disabilities. So great cause there. The players are shaking hands. I'm going to wrap it up. As always, if you subscribe to what we do, it's £5 for 5 months at the moment. Can't ask for more than that. It's not even a pint these days, is it? Please do consider if you don't. Thanks to all of those that do. If you do, you can access my live updates on the EADT website during the game. And I think we'll wrap it up there. Ipswich Town versus Swansea City, back here at Portman Road. See you on the other side.